What is going on? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Wake Up and Ball, powered by BetUS. Woo! Super Wildcard Weekend is wrapped up. Well, not just kidding. We got a game tonight. We got a game tonight, of course, to preview. But we have a lot of games to talk about. We have a coaching hiring, a lot of stuff in the NFL, some NBA, some sports talk to wake up to. Shout out to the chat. Hope you're all having a fantastic Monday. Good morning, Tony Dow.
What's up, Richie? Thank you, everybody who's already tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all punch that like button on your way in the building. Roundtable Sports doing bigger and better things. And thank y'all for waking up and ball Monday morning. Let's get it. So much great football this weekend. Let's have a great week.
Woo! Man, we're just getting started here on Wake Up and Ball on the Roundtable Sports Network. Hit that like button right now, folks, on your way in. Let's get started. You like that? You like that beat, TD?
I love it. You already know.
Oh, yeah? Chat, you like it? Oh. Wake up and ball. TD, Richie coming through together and we ball.
Oh, look at it. Hey, put it on wax, man. Put it on wax.
Oh. All right. I mean, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to everybody that was supporting TD and I. We started something new. Yeah. Is my mic coming in and out? Choppy?
No, it's coming through.
All right. You sure?
Yeah, now it's choppy.
Yeah, I hear that on my end.
Oh,
right,
Richie.
You talk.
A, B, C, D, E.
Well, I mean, like, you talk to the people like we're doing a show.
I know, Richie. I'm messing with you, man. All right, man. Listen, man, we got a lot to cover. So much went down yesterday, over the weekend, really, on Saturday and Sunday. We had a lot of great games that we're going to be recapping right here on Wake Up and Ball. Again, get your coffee, cream and sugar, make it better, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Alfredo with the super chat. Said the Chargers will choke, guarantee of a lifetime. Man, oh man, we're going to talk about that too. Man, so much to talk about. Listen, man, do we have the lower thirds, Richie, for what we're doing today, or? Richie trying to fix the audio, ladies and gentlemen. But he'll be coming through in just a second, man. He left me, so I'm solo dolo. Let me go full screen until he gets back. But listen, man, I got to fix mine. You know, we had a lot of adjustments yesterday, even with camera.
We good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Look
Come
at
on, man.
We fixing all our technical difficulties this morning. What's going
on with this? Chop up. Why does it still?
Is your leveler very high? Do you need to turn it down?
Hold on, man. Come on. Don't you do this to me during the playoffs. Maybe it was the cord was loose. Cord was loose. Alfredo with a $2 super chat. The Chargers will choke. Guarantee of a lifetime. Yeah, they choked all right. We'll get into that. Herbert, I'm sure TD has his thoughts. Got to give a shout out to Chris coming here from the NFC North Roundtable representing the Vikings. This is the vision of Roundtable Sports, man. Right? This is the vision. We want people across all divisions to come through to this channel because we talk all sports. We talk all things across the NFL. Love it.
And Richie, we're definitely growing. You know why? We just hit last week 19,000 subs. And just like that over the weekend, we're 19,200 and something.
And you know why? I noticed. I looked at the analytics. We gained 72 subscribers on Wednesday, and then 75 subscribers on Thursday. That's because we introduced a new show here on this channel, which is the SmackDown. That's why. If you're wondering where the subscribers are coming from, TD, it's from that. And speaking of SmackDown, we got to coordinate this week's SmackDowns. we got 4 of them coming up. With the division round is pretty much all scheduled, right? So tonight's going to determine who's facing off against Detroit, but we got. No, I'm sorry, not Detroit. Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tonight's facing off against Philadelphia. So we got some SmackDowns coming up. We're going to see Dan Mitchell go up against our Ravens guy. We're going to see a lot of fun SmackDowns on this channel. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and we appreciate all the love. And also, what I was going to say before my mic was glitching out, and I realized it was the cord that was loose. We introduced something new, and I want to tell you guys something. This was very spontaneous. This was not really planned. The only thing that was planned is, yeah, TD, let's go live during the game together, man. Let's do something together. And little did we know it would be a hit. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to toot our own horn, but it seems like there's a lot of great feedback across you guys. Roundtable cast. I mean, what are you guys thoughts of that? TD and I went live during the Bills and the Broncos game, and it seems like you guys enjoyed it. TD, how'd you like calling the game with me?
I loved it, man. It was a new experience for myself. I thought we had great chemistry, bouncing off each other, and it made the stream very seamless and informative. A lot more informative.
Why? Because I'm teaching you some things?
Oh, no, Richie, no. I'm just saying.
We're teaching each other things.
Yeah, there you go. I'll settle with that one, Richie. I'll settle with that one.
No, man, it was fun, and the chat enjoyed it, especially for that Bills-Broncos game. You kind of get our own roundtable broadcast feel. So definitely going to do that again this weekend for one game, and I think you guys can guess which game we're going to do it for. I mean, come on. We got a huge game this weekend that we're excited about. But before we get into the previews, I mean, we have to talk about these games first and foremost because there's so much that happened, so much that went down. Chris enjoyed it. That was dope. Fire. I tuned in. Thank you, brother. R&R. It's great watching you guys in the morning during games anytime. Absolutely. We appreciate it. King Jamie in the chat. What's good? What's good? What's good? Rich, our Knicks are back balling. Hey, you know what?
Oh, my God.
You want to say the Knicks are balling? Then we start with the Knicks. We start with the Knicks because TD's a hater. The Knicks obliterate the Milwaukee Bucks. Cat and Brunson combined for 74 points. Come on, TD. Knicks going through a little wall of adversity, and now they blew out the Bucks, and now they have another game tonight. I mean, what's your, like, are you plugged into the NBA right now, or are you more all in playoffs for the NFL?
Well, over the weekend, I've been all in playoffs for the NFL, but I'm plugged into the NBA. I mean, the Knicks are doing some good things. You know, they're having some ups and downs. You know, they play so well for a stretch, and then they lose to a bum team. You're like, what's wrong with them? And then they win again. Brunson, you know, going off. What was Brunson's stat line yesterday again?
I think he finished with like 44 points in like 28 minutes because he got hurt.
Yeah,
so he didn't play all game, and he still got 44 or something like that.
Yeah, so, you know, at the end of the day, the Knicks are rolling, but I don't think the Knicks are really the team that you should be talking about in the NBA. The team to be talking about is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, they are. They're legit. There was a game this past week of OKC versus the Cavs, the two first seeds, and that was a great game. The Cavs came out on top. So we'll see. A lot of fun things coming into the NBA. All-Star break coming up as well. So let's go to chronological order to get through these playoff games. But before we get into the playoff games, let's first highlight the news of the Patriots officially hiring Mike Vrabel. Now, this isn't really news that shocks the whole world. I think we all expected this to happen, but now the timing of it's there. And boy, oh boy, I'm still so happy that Aaron Glenn, whether he's a Jets head coach or not, declined that interview because he knew what they were doing. He's like, I'm not an idiot. And that tells me right there he's a Super Bowl winning coach in the future. So, Mike Vrabel, head coach for the Patriots. Do you think that the Patriots are going to have an immediate turnaround next year, similar to the Chargers? Is it going to take a few years? Obviously, we have to see what they do this offseason with their cap space and with their draft pick. But Mike Vrabel, an experienced head coach, mixed in with a young quarterback, a lot of cap space, and a top 4 pick.
Yeah, I think he does turn it around right away. Now, are we talking about Super Bowl contention? Absolutely not. Are we talking about playoff contention? Borderline. But looking from where they're coming from, literally, 3 or 4 wins or something like that? What was it, Richie, 3?
What, they won this year?
Yeah.
4.
Well, because they won it last week because the Bills didn't do anything. But yeah, coming from 4 wins, I think that Vrabel immediately gets them to about 7-9. And just missing the playoffs. And that's because he's going to change the culture at a minimum over there. And then he'll come in and then he'll bring in everybody he wants to bring in and start building his team. But yeah, man, this is a huge hire for the Patriots. I think it's going to go a long way. I think that he's going to really make life tough in the AFC East. And man, and I'm going to be honest with you, the teams that really should be concerned are the Dolphins and the Jets. They have to be able to make sure that they solidify their positioning in the division because we might be the NFC North next year.
You think so?
Well, we
are. Wait,
let me back up.
What'd you say about the AFC North?
NFC North, I said.
We're going to be the NFC North?
Maybe more like the NFC West.
AFC West is even better.
Well, no, I'm not
They have
saying
3 playoff teams.
I'm not saying better, though. I'm saying that we all beat up on each other like Seattle.
But the AFC West
49ers.
has 3 playoff teams. The NFC North has 3 playoff teams.
I said the NFC West.
Oh, NFC West, yeah.
Yes. So, I think that we could be looking at that potential. Just beating up on each other, coming down to the wire. Buffalo will come down to earth a little bit next year. We'll see. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But yeah, huge pickup for the Patriots. The Jets are crying in the car this morning because they really wanted Vrabel, and now their options are slimming down. And speaking of the Patriots in Boston, just wanted to give a nice shout out to the Celtics winning last night too. Tatum 38-11, clutch in the end of the game. Just wanted to throw that out there.
No one cares about the Celtics. Listen, I think that the Mike Vrabel hire is the first one of the cycle. Everyone saw it coming. And it makes sense of why Gerard Mayo was hired in the first place. I don't know if you know this about the contract that was signed with Bill Belichick. He had in his contract that Gerard Mayo needs to be his replacement, like when he's done. There was in the contract that Bill Belichick said, Gerard Mayo is the coach when I'm gone. So Robert Kraft honored it by letting him have 1 year, and then he's like, all right, that's honored. You're out. Let's go get a real guy. Interesting.
Wow.
Did you know that?
Absolutely not, Richie. Well, you know what?
Bill Belichick had it in his contract that has to be the guy when I'm gone for a year.
When did this come out?
This has been a thing. I think Patriots fans knew this. Colby knew it.
Then why are people out here crying about, they're doing them wrong, this and that? Come on, man. They did him right. They gave him an opportunity off of the strength of Belichick. He didn't. That means, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say he didn't earn it, but you could argue that, not argue, it was given to him. It was given to him out of a contract agreement that it would happen. So I don't want to hear people making more of this than it is after finding that out. That's some really good information to know. But all I know is Robert Kraft made a good decision because he was able to upgrade. I don't want to hear all this stuff about, you should have gave him a chance, this and that. You try to upgrade every chance you can get, and that it goes through the entire organization. There is no question that Mike Vrabel is an upgrade over Gerard Mayo, okay? So I like the move. Good job, Patriots. You secured your guy, and you took him away from a lot of people who really needed him.
I never really wanted him in the first place. So.
Stop it, Richie. If you don't stop.
Nah, man. Overrated.
You want a Rex Ryan or Vance Joseph?
The Patriots want to stick with their Patriot way. They can't evolve. And now, obviously, I'm joking. I definitely want a Mike Vrabel. Joke there. But the one thing I'll say about the Mike Vrabel hiring is you have to develop a quarterback. And Mike Vrabel's no guy to develop a quarterback. So the big question is who's their OC going to be? A lot of rumors going to be Josh McDaniels coming back home, who failed as a head coach, but obviously he's not going to get a head coaching job again. If he can adjust to the modern-day NFL and be a good offensive play caller in New England and help Drake May, then maybe there'll be something. But we shall see, man. We shall see. All right. We got a lot of games to get into, man. Should we go chronologically of the order that they were played, or what game specifically?
Played.
All right. Starting off, Los Angeles Chargers went into Houston for the wild card round. And this was the upset of this weekend. This was the upset. Nobody saw it coming besides Texans fans. Let's keep it a buck here. The Texans were home, but the Chargers had a better record. They had Harbaugh. I mean, you'd think the better quarterback, but now that's up for grabs. I mean, in terms of the big moment. And it's just interesting because Houston has not been impressive this year. C.J. Stroud, not impressive this year. But now C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans has 2 playoff wins in 2 years. That's pretty darn impressive. You right? They're not just getting to the playoffs because they're in a bad division. They're winning playoff games, right? So I think that's an impressive win. Started off slow, 6-0 hole. C.J. Stroud marches down the field. gets a big touchdown to Nico Collins, and then that was the momentum that they needed. And then their defense started to make turnovers and force Justin Herbert to make mistakes. Obviously, there was players around Justin Herbert that was not helping him out with drop passes, but also Justin Herbert deserves to be held accountable. When you're in a big moment like this and you put up that type of performance, he did not pass the eye test. Was he awful? No. Was there, every single time he dropped back, was he clueless? No. He had a strike to Lad McConkey, and he took it the distance for a touchdown. He had some throws where you're like, the Chargers players are just not catching it, but there's also some throws that he will tell you, I'd like to have that back, and opportunities he left on the table. So all in all, the Houston Texans played better football, and they're able to get the job done at home. So congratulations to Houston. Big-time win.
Yeah, I agree with that. Starting out with the Houston Texans, man, they did have home field advantage. That was always a big ups for them. But let's call it what it is. That O-line hasn't been great all season. All right. And for CJ Stroud to do what he did in that game, I'll never forget right before halftime with 2 minutes left on a 3rd and 16, backed up into their own territory around the 8-yard line or something like that. There was a bad snap. And you could see safety written all over it. Some guys kick it through the end zone so they don't give up 7 to the other team. CJ Stroud picks it up off of the ground, makes one of the big best plays of the weekend, getting it to the 50-yard line. They end up going down the field for a touchdown on that drive. Up until that point, CJ Stroud had looked really bad. Justin Herbert had technically been outplaying him up until that point.
Yeah, true.
And just like that, the game shifted. For the rest of the game, Herbert looked pedestrian, and CJ Stroud looked like he was taking over the game with his mobility and balance and play calling and operating that offense to actually put up some production. But you got to give some credit as well to the defense of the Houston Texans. They kind of led the way consistently throughout the entire game, even allowing them, because the way this game started, you would think that the Chargers are about to rout them, but that defense clanked down. They made a lot of plays. And no, Herbert ain't the main person to blame, but you're the quarterback. You got to take ownership when these things happen. I always say
150 when you sign up.
I always say, if you lose the game, you can't be a part of the reason you did. And he was, okay? He was, there were drop passes. Yeah, there were bad execution. Yeah, there was some questionable play calls, but he also contributed to the loss. This game is about 2 or 3 plays, and I remember 2 or 3 touchdowns Herbert could have had he not overthrown the football or misfired. He got to own that. Turning the ball over is something you can't do in a big game, and Herbert is doing that now. Is he still an excellent quarterback? Absolutely. One game isn't going to determine a guy. But hey,
all your favorites, and
you don't want to start having that. You don't want to start having that Lamar Jackson narrative floating around you. That hey, you could be all of this in the regular season, but not do anything in the playoffs. So Herbert has plenty more years to come to make amends to how he's starting his career in the playoffs. But he's gonna have to tighten up in these big games because all that talent cannot show up the way that it did in the big moments, all right? This team still got a lot of work to do. They got to still go get some weapons. This was the first year of a retool, and I think it's important for people to remember that they already overachieved.
Yeah, I think that they did overachieve, but also if you're the Chargers, I don't look at this season as a success.
Really?
I mean, with the way your quarterback
nobody had to make the playoffs,
the way Herbert played, that's a failure. If he went out there and balled out and lost, then it would be a different conversation. But you can't have a franchise quarterback that some people try to put him in top 5, top 7, top 10, categories, and there's so much debates about this quarterback. And obviously there's context and needs to be said here. But if you go into the playoffs and put up an egg, and Justin Herbert has now yet to win a playoff game, and last year, what was that? 2 years ago, when he gave up a 20-0 lead or something to Jacksonville. I mean, there's a big narrative now around Justin Herbert because I always say the stars are born in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And he's someone that you need to be able to be a star. And he played bad football. He did. I mean, let's keep it a buck here. I don't think Justin Herbert you can consider a quote-unquote elite quarterback because I think the elite word gets attached when you go to the playoffs in big moments, right? Sam Darnold, for example, had a big moment last week to become an elite quarterback. He failed. Now Sam's got a moment tonight to become an elite quarterback. If he succeeds tonight, people are going to start saying that. If he fails tonight, nobody will use the word elite with Sam ever. With Justin Herbert, I don't think anybody can convince me that he's an elite quarterback, because I don't care what you do in the regular season. If you step up, if you go to the playoffs and the pressure's at its highest and you look like that, you're not an elite quarterback, in my opinion.
So is Lamar Jackson an elite quarterback?
Yeah.
What has he done in the playoffs?
He went to the AFC Championship game last year.
What has he done in the playoffs?
He played well last year in the playoffs.
Lamar Jackson does not play as well as he does in the regular season. He didn't play elite.
And on Saturday, he was elite in the playoffs.
Well, that was his first. That was his first elite game in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was a real narrative around Lamar. 100%. That was a legit narrative.
Nobody questions his eliteness. I think just like you use the example of Sam Darnold, we can't one week say, okay, he's elite, but then that game said he's not elite. Elite quarterbacks don't have elite games every week. And
but the difference is this is not every week. This is playoffs. This is pressure at its highest. This is when you get neutral. This is when you show your true colors.
But you use Sam Darnold.
That was Sam Darnold's first ever big game of his life.
I can't say that was a big game. Yeah, I can't say that it was his first big game, Richie.
It was. That was his first big game in the NFL where there was something on the line. 100%. Name a bigger game in his life in the NFL.
No, you won't find one. I'm not saying a bigger game, but it wasn't his first. I mean, every time he went up against,
that was Sam's first biggest game of his life. There was never a time where Sam was a starting quarterback with playoffs on the line.
The week before that versus Green Bay, it was on the line, and he played well. I mean, there's been other big games. All I'm saying is I don't think one game can define you of what your status is. There ain't no question. Herbert didn't play. He played bad, okay? Now, if we're going to add context to it, did we recognize what that O-line did? Are we going to recognize what those receivers were doing? And this is not excusing how bad Herbert was playing, but putting all of that together, we're not just going to say, oh, well, that just proves he's not this or that. Now, he didn't have a this or that moment at the time. I'm hearing audio.
Sorry.
Hold on, this might be me.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, so, hey, Herbert, there's no excuses for him. But here's what I will say. I agree with you. He's not an elite quarterback based off of what happened, but it doesn't take away elite talent.
Yeah, he's got an elite talent, but he's not putting it together when you need to the most. So I think at the end of the day, now we have to wait a full calendar year before people can determine if Justin Herbert is elite, because he needs to go into the playoffs next year and win a playoff game. And by the way, you bring up Lamar Jackson. That was a legit debate, because Lamar has not played well in the playoffs early on in his career. But now, last year he went to the AFC title game, and this year, in one game so far, he's looked like that elite MVP quarterback. So that feels like the monkey is off his back. But 4 interceptions, some of them, of course, not in his way. TD, Justin Herbert threw more interceptions in that game than he did all season. Like, that tells me all you need to know. And you got to also give a lot of credit to Houston. I mean, their defensive game plan, their execution, everything about Houston deserves their flowers here. But when you turn the ball over 4 times, when you didn't do anything during the regular season, that tells you when the pressure gets to its highest, you're not playing your best version of yourself. And that is a big, big, big concern. I do believe Justin Herbert can learn from this. I do believe Justin Herbert still has tools that he can work in the NFL. I'm not writing him off as a bust and that the Chargers should trade him at all. But he deserves to get criticized, because I want his criticism to be just as loud as it was for Lamar when he failed in the playoffs, just as bad as all these other quarterbacks that failed in the playoffs, because I feel like a lot of people don't like to criticize Herbert for some reason. So I'm going to be first in line to do it.
Yeah, I just think that if you're going to compare it to Lamar and Josh's and other people's criticism, I just personally feel like it's night and day. Josh, Lamar, and all of those guys have been criticized when when you look at Lamar Jackson, he's been criticized because, number one, he's had an O-line. Number two, his mobility and all that he can do should be able to.
Since when does Herbert not have an offensive line. I mean, that's why they're in the playoffs.
No, Richie. Herbert's. My point is, did you watch him 2 days ago, Richie?
Yeah, of course, but that's more Houston Texans executing.
I agree with
the
you.
The offensive line has been phenomenal for the Chargers all season. Well, and now we're going to say, the offensive line didn't play well, so Herbert, that's why I threw 4 picks?
That's not true. In the run game, they've been phenomenal, Richie. You need to go look at pass pro. In the run game, they have been outstanding, but not so much in pass pro. But regardless, the point that I'm making here is they didn't show up in the big moment. Do you know how many people came unblocked to Herbert, even on 4-man rushes in that game? Like literally unblocked, hike the ball, a guy coming center mass in his face. Do you know how many times that happened in the game? And that's all I'm saying. They didn't show up either. Lamar Jackson and guys like that, they never had that. Now, Burrow did, but he rose above the occasion. That's why Burrow's in a whole different stratosphere without being mobile, okay? So at the end of the day, I don't think that the criticism has been unfair. I think we keep forgetting the Chargers weren't expected to win even 7 games. I think we keep forgetting that their number 1 receiver is a short slot receiver.
Yeah, but that's so unfair. You can't throw preseason expectations into where they are today. They won 12 games. I don't care about no preseason exceeding expectations. In today's world, you go to the playoffs. TD, they were the betting favorites on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's stop acting like this is the underdogs. They were not the underdogs. Everybody was expecting the Chargers to win. Everybody had them winning the game. They were the better team heading into do you know how rare it is to be a road favorite in the playoffs? It's impossible to be a road favorite in the playoffs. Stop. No. Stop giving this little, they exceed expectations and the preseason this. That's BS, bro. You talk about today. I don't care about no preseason expectations. I'm talking about the present moment, and in this moment, they were the favorites, and they failed.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
No. I'm not saying they weren't the betting favorites, but let's be honest here, Richie.
Everybody picked the Chargers.
Hold on, Richie. They were the betting favorites not because the Chargers were the Chargers. It's because nobody believed in Houston. They weren't the betting favorites just because the Chargers are dominant.
No, it's because of Harbaugh, the Harbaugh effect. Everyone trusted him in the playoffs. What are you talking about?
Richie, what did everybody say?
You even were high in the... What happened to you? You were even high in the Chargers, thinking that they could be the wild card team to go on a run, and even you said they could beat the Chiefs. I mean, you're flip flopping, TD. You literally last week said that if the Chargers beat the Texans, they could beat the Chiefs.
I thought they could. I thought
you said that.
I thought they
Why?
could. Richie, but
why'd you say that?
Because I don't believe in the Chiefs this year.
Oh. See what you're doing? You're deflecting of your actual deep down belief in the Chargers, and now you're making an excuse. No, well, the Texans aren't good, and I don't believe in the Chiefs this year to justify you picking the Chargers. Come on, bro. You're ridiculous.
That's unfair. You've heard me say that at least 3 to 5 times this season.
So your reason of picking the Chargers over the Chiefs is because you don't believe in the Chiefs this year? It's not because you actually believe in the Chargers at all?
I don't believe that the Chiefs have been going up against great defenses for the most part this season. And when they do, the one loss that they have, Buffalo's defense, they did what they did. I've said this.
You were hot. Why can't you just sit here on this show and admit?
I don't think the Chiefs can beat them 3 times in a row. I said that too.
All right, so remove the Chiefs out of this. Why can't you sit here on this show and look at the camera with a straight face and say, I was wrong. I was high on the Chargers, and I was wrong. Instead of saying all of a sudden backtracking, moving the goalpost, they weren't even supposed to be this good. They exceeded like that's so unfair, bro. You have to keep a narrative and stick with it. When you're wrong, admit when you're wrong, and you keep deflecting. And I think a big reason for it is this is personal. This is personal for you.
Once again, Richie, you hear what you want to hear. Can you rewind the tape 2 minutes and you'll hear me say, even I was wrong. You will hear me say that 2 minutes ago. You don't want to hear that because you want to make your point.
Because then you go on this whole thing about it deflects it.
I already said 2 minutes ago that I was even wrong about the Chargers winning this game. But the point of the matter is, let's be honest. Can you raise your hand in the chat? Who believed in the Texans after their regular season? Picking the Chargers was more so about the fact that the Texans have not been impressive all year. Everybody, the whole nation felt that way. I don't trust the Texans. They haven't done anything. CJ Stroud slump. It was all about that, Richie. Let's be honest. That's what this was about. The Houston Texans hadn't showed you why they can win all season long for the most part. So, of course, I'm going to pick the Chargers. I felt like they've had the momentum, and Houston hasn't done anything great all year. But guess what? They showed up in this game. CJ Stroud, did CJ Stroud play the way he was playing all season, Richie?
In the first quarter or first 2 quarters, he did.
We didn't expect that, though. We didn't even expect that, Richie. Nobody. You were one of the loudest people banging the table. CJ Stroud sophomore slump is real.
Of course.
And I don't. And he's about to lose to the Chargers. Who did you pick in this game?
I picked the Chargers.
Why?
Because I believed in the Chargers, and so did you, and you can't admit it.
Yes, I did.
That's what you're doing right now. Do you not realize it? You're deflecting and just making this about the Texans being bad.
How many times I got to say I believed in the Chargers? How many times I got to say it?
Yeah, but you're discrediting it by saying they exceeded expectations and all these things and all like, what are you talking about? The present moment is the present moment.
Why don't you tell me what are the Chargers better at than Houston that made you believe they were going to win?
Experienced coaching, even though it's first year. It's all a Super Bowl winning coach in Harbaugh.
That's it?
Over D'Amico Ryans,
That's
right?
it?
The quarterback, Justin Herbert. The overall team has been playing better football. I believed in the Chargers. They're a better football team this season.
It's actually more about Houston because Houston hadn't showed up.
It's about the Chargers being a better football team.
I believed in Houston. I believed in the Chargers defense in this game. I believe that Houston hadn't done nothing all season that makes me believe that they're going to break through this defense. I believe that the betting odds of the Chargers being the favorite had a lot more to do with how bad Houston was. How are you the favorite when you're literally on the road? This had everything to do with Houston. You're on the road. You're usually given 3 points, Richie, and you're not the betting favorite. This has everything to do with nobody believed in Houston. Nobody believed in them, Richie. That's like if you're gonna sit there and ignore
nobody did.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Nobody. This is more about
but you keep going back to the notion that they exceeded expectations. So this is still a win for them. This is not a win. So let me ask you this. If you're a Chargers fan, you should feel good about this season, or not?
Yes, it's a good starting point. You know, this offseason, you got money. You can go get weapons. How do you think the Chargers would have failed had they had better weapons and a few more pieces on the O-line? They would have been in a much better situation. Like, come on, Richie. You think that, like, we got people that got 2 and 3 number 1 receivers on their team. You look at the Chargers receiver core, and you're going to say, oh, they shouldn't be optimistic about the future? Like, this is probably as best as you're going to get. That's insane to me.
I feel like
they should be disappointed.
I feel like with the way that they perform in the playoffs, absolutely. I mean, you throw everything out when whatever you did in the regular season gets thrown out. If you put up that type of performance, your franchise quarterback throws more interceptions than he did all season in one game.
In a game that nobody thought you would be in preseason, early in the season.
See, like, that's where we're different. I don't care about preseason.
I'm just talking about expectations.
Like, expectations. You go into the playoffs as a betting favorite. You got to win that game, and they didn't even show up.
You know. Here's what's funny to me.
That's where I'm looking at it.
If the Jets are supposed to make the playoffs and they win 6 games, it's a disappointment because we had bigger expectations. But the Chargers win 11 games, but early in the season, there really ain't no expectations to make the playoffs.
Forget how many times.
Look at that.
How many times did we talk about the Chargers in the offseason and say, can Harbaugh do it in year 1? And we all said, yeah, there's a chance that Harbaugh can figure it out in year 1. Let's not forget that.
I agree.
Let's not forget that wasn't an actual possibility that we all actually factored in, where it's like 0 chance they are successful this season. We all thought that in year 1, Harbaugh is a good enough coach to get this team with Herbert to coach this team to the playoffs. That's exactly what they did.
And they did.
That was preseason expectation, though.
That's what made it. It wasn't the expectation. We all believed they could. And that's what made it a success, Richie. They achieved it.
And they had arguably the easiest matchup you can have as a wild card team and failed.
Did they? No. Forget the wild card game. Did they achieve what we said that they might be able to do in before the season? Did they achieve it? Yes or no?
They achieved it, but the way that they lost.
It doesn't matter how they lost. They achieved their goal. Their goal was to. I don't even think their goal was to make the playoffs. That was us saying that we think that.
Come on, TD. Everyone's goal is to make the playoffs. Okay. Carolina's goal is to make the playoffs every year.
They achieved it, Richie.
The Jets want to win the Super Bowl every year. Everyone's got to have those goals.
Richie, if the Patriots make the playoffs at 11-6 next year and lose in the first round, we're going to sit here and say that Drake may play bad in that first round and it wasn't good. That's a failure for the team. Like, when do we start going to this extreme? The Chargers did not fail, bro. That's crazy.
Herbert failed them. How about that?
In the playoffs, yeah. But the team had success overall this season.
Alfredo started off, Chargers will choke. We beat the Chiefs, mark my words. We got to get into that game later this week. Will the Texans find some momentum? TD has a narrative against Tua. He loves Herbert. That's where this is coming from.
I do. There's no question about that.
So this is personal.
I love Herbert's talent.
So this is personal.
It's not personal. I said Herbert played like trash. He hurt his team. The Chargers had success this year. That's what I'm arguing here. So this has nothing to do with my love for Herbert. Herbert bombed out. Herbert played like Tua.
Uh-oh.
And that's terrible.
That is terrible. All right, let's get into the next game, which was AFC North matchup. Baltimore, man. They went out there at home and took care of business. I mean, is this more about where the Baltimore Ravens are going, or should we take the path of what the heck would the Pittsburgh Steelers do? Is this a successful season for the Steelers, TD?
I'm going to say that it's a disappointing season for its end. This is a team that makes the playoffs every single year, and they received the blessing of being able to bring in a starting caliber quarterback for like $1 million, which allowed them to have somewhat of more talent around. But it wasn't top-end talent. It was just talent to get them by to get in the playoffs and be competitive. So overall, you would like to see Pittsburgh win their first round at least to say that it was a good season. But Tomlin, he's been here and done this too much to say that it was a success. He needs a playoff win at this point, and they are failing in that regard. So, this is a failure for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year overall. And then when you look at the Baltimore, and honestly, Pittsburgh, you gotta wonder where they're going from here. Like a lot of decisions have to be made: coaching, quarterback, what they're gonna do. But Baltimore, business as usual. I don't think it was impressive. I mean, it was what they did on the field was impressive, but this doesn't move me or anything. They did what they were supposed to do. The only thing that would have mattered in this game is had they not did it in the fashion they did it. If it was a tight field goal thriller, I thought Baltimore should have ran away with this game, and they did. And in the fourth quarter, they were chilling. They weren't trying to score. They were just like, all right, let's play some defense. Let's just try to run the ball. Let's play some defense, do a little something. That was the Ravens would have had 40 in this game had they been active the entire time. So huge win for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson showed up and showed out in that first half. Second half, the team was coasting off the back of Derrick Henry. They just got so many ways they can do it. And remember, their receiver wasn't in. Their guy wasn't even there, and everybody like, you better not lose without him. Well, it was nothing. It was light work. You didn't even miss him. So,
you didn't feel like he was not there.
Yeah, you would think he was on the field, if anything. So at the end of the day, Baltimore doing what they do best. Now it gets real next week.
Yeah, I think this game went as I expected. I just totally never really expected. Looking at how the Steelers ended off the season, man, no one should have picked them. I predicted the Steelers to fumble the division, the Ravens to take over, and the fact that this was the wild card round was perfect. All right? Perfect. So I really think that at the end of the day, the Baltimore Ravens are the team to beat in this year's playoffs, and next week we got a big matchup. And at the end of the day, AFC North, matchup in wild card round. Now, the big question is Mike Tomlin. I mean, this is a lot of talking noise around there. He's not going nowhere. I mean, this was the same thing last year. I feel like it's a cycle. But it's wild that the people that want Mike Tomlin gone are Steelers fans, and then every team in the NFL, fan bases of teams like the Jets or has a head coaching vacancy, we're like, we'll take Mike Tomlin. Like, Steelers want to get rid of him. Fan base I'm talking about, and then the fans that don't have coaches want him. Like, are the Steelers fans onto something? Or are they just spoiled?
Jets. Well, they're not spoiled, Richie. They're tired of successful purgatory. See, and this is the difference for whoever in the chat is making this claim that TD said the Chargers were successful and now he's saying Pittsburgh is a failure. Wow. No, when you go to the playoffs every year and get booted in the first round, eventually it becomes a failure if you're not progressing. Chargers weren't going to the playoffs. They made it now. That's progress. The Steelers, on the other hand, and this is what I always say, Richie, I'd hate to be the team that makes it to the playoffs every year and gets bounced in the first round every year. I'd rather be the team that's in the middle of the road purgatory because I got a better draft pick and I can retool more often.
Like who?
Like Miami. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I would rather be Miami than Pittsburgh. If I'm going to go 20 years in a row getting bounced in the first round, that is torture. At least I can have 3-4 different regimes of trying something new to try to figure it out. But if I'm staying in that same little block forever, that's torture. To me, at least it is. First round exits every single year for a long time is torture.
So what you're in is torture.
It's successful purgatory for the Steelers.
Okay, but the Dolphins are torture.
Yeah, that's torture too, but at least we get new hope every 3 to 4 years with a new quarterback or whatever it may be. Even though it still may be delusional, at least we get the new hope. Instead of those teams that are numb to all the regular season wins, yeah, we do this every year. 9-8, 10-7, 11-6, first round bounce. You become numb to it. It doesn't even become fun anymore.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even know what you consider the Jets for the last 14 years. No playoffs. That's not purgatory. That's just failures.
At least y'all have had a lot of different revitalizing moments to say, okay, this is it. Even though you've been wrong, at least you've had a lot of those.
And we had a playoff game technically in 2015. Win in your in scenario, we lost. So we didn't make the playoffs.
You think the Steelers fans get excited about a Week 5 win, a Week 11 win? You think they get excited about it?
I mean, they should, but I know what you're saying. To them, it's like, yeah, we do this. They're numb to it. This is the standard. Week 5 win for me. People are like, Richie, you're acting like you won a Super Bowl. Yeah, I know I am. Every freaking win matters so much for the Jets, which is why I root for every single time, man. People will never understand why I care so much and root so much for little wins for the Jets. For that exact reason we're talking about.
But for the first time this year, Richie, for the first time in my life, I was numb to wins for the Dolphins. Yeah, I mean, we know what this is. Like every time, bad team, beat them bad. Yeah, we know what this is. Like I was, for the first time in my life, I was numb to almost every win the Dolphins had.
Wow. Well, that's sad because we don't want you to see you numb, TD. We want to see you.
That's the point. It's sad, and that's what Pittsburgh fans are used to.
All right, so we have a few more games that we weren't able to get into, but I do want to get your thoughts of this real quick because we do have a game tonight. All right. Shout out to BetUS for being the proud sponsor of the channel as always. Don't forget to use the code YouTube150 when you sign up today. And that is going to be up to $2,000. They also got casino. They got all things sports, college football, NBA, NHL, you name it. Okay, so go over to betus.com.pa and open up your account and use the code YouTube150. Talk about another road favorites. This is the second game this weekend where we have a road betting favorite. Now, you can argue both teams are on the road since they're in a neutral site here, but still, a team that is on the road is the betting favorite, who is the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, TD, we're both on the same page. We want to see the Vikings win, but I'm not going to lie to you. The Rams are sneaky. Yeah. Like, the Rams are no team to just push over. They got the good thing about the Rams I like is their youth on their defensive line that can get to Sam Darnold. Jared Verse, arguably, he could be Rookie of the Year this year. And they got some dogs on that defense, not to mention their offense can get clicking.
What team?
Rams.
Defensive line?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean getting at Sam Darnold?
Yeah, Jared Verse could be Rookie of the Year. He's a stud. So we'll see how that game goes. Go check out BetUS, folks. But we'll save the Vikings-Rams talk for tomorrow after the game wraps up. Now let's get into this Bills and Broncos game. Of course, we're going to hear Dan's thoughts of this at the huddle. Should we just wait for Dan to get into this game, or we said all we needed to do on the Roundtable cast?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this, just briefly. Then, Denver had a successful season, in my opinion.
Denver?
Yeah, Denver
Absolutely.
had
that's a successful season right there. And I think a big reason for it. You know the difference?
Chargers had more success than Denver.
You know the big difference?
What's the big difference, Richie?
The quarterbacks. One's a rookie quarterback, and one's been in the league for 6 years.
Yeah,
however long it's been. That's the difference.
Somebody got to lose. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody still got to lose. I mean,
no, but I think you can argue who's had a more successful season, the Broncos or Chargers. I would say Broncos. Like, in terms of, like, in your narrative of preseason expectations, like, I had way higher expectations than the Chargers and the Broncos, and the Broncos exceeded more expectations in my brain than the Chargers did.
Well, I guess I could give you that, because when you looked at the Chargers schedule, you knew they at least had 8, and if they can get up past that, it was success. So I'll give you that. All right. But
we're talking about Bo Nix, bro. Nobody saw Bo Nix coming. I mean, besides, I didn't expect him to do this good as a rookie. I liked him out of the draft, but also, not forget who Bo Nix was. Last year's draft class had so many quarterbacks, bro. He was the 6th quarterback drafted, and he's arguably one of the best behind Daniels.
Yeah, but again, if you want to go back to that, I mean, in the big game, he put up 7 points, Richie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not sure.
Who had a better rookie year than him? Mark Sanchez, baby. One of the only quarterbacks to win a road playoff game as a rookie, and I heard his name on the broadcast many times.
Oh my God, Richie, why you always bringing up this Jets history like it matter? Stop.
God, that's pretty good history. Come on, Mark Sanchez going to the AFC title game as a rookie.
Yeah, but I'll say Bo Nix, a great season. He definitely. I mean,
TD, but let's think of it this way. What was going through our brain when Bo Nix threw that touchdown? Like, oh boy, Bo Nix.
At the beginning?
Yeah, like
it was over. Buffalo, y'all.
Yo, Bo Nix about to be better than Mahomes after this if he goes.
But again, I don't want to.
And then he turned into a pumpkin.
I don't want to make excuses for another quarterback, but let's.
But let's also add context. Let's be consistent. Let's be consistent. What were we saying during the game last? Are we faulting Bo Nix? Or are we gonna talk about the play calling?
He has to own it as the quarterback, but this guy, man, this is the play calling. They put this kid in bad situations every time.
That was my point.
And it ain't like he had great weapons. I mean, he had a stud, but even the weapons were getting hurt. Even what he had was getting hurt on the field. So, I mean, and again, I don't want to make, I know everybody say I make excuses for certain quarterbacks, but Bo Nix, man, that was unfair. His coach put him in a bad situation, run the ball on first down, run the ball on second down, continue to get his kid third and long in situations like that. And then whenever the game is getting out of reach, you want to now spread it out with him and he cooking. And he would have kept cooking, but you were going for it on fourth down instead of taking the points and things of that nature.
And you know where this game was won? I feel like we forget. The score looks like it was not competitive. This game was very competitive.
Yeah.
3 minutes left in the third quarter. 13-7 Bills. And Josh Allen, the Bills went for it on 4th and 1. And that was that touchdown he threw in the back of the end zone.
Well,
if Ty Johnson dropped that, that's a turnover on downs.
Yeah.
And the Broncos get the ball down 6 points with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. So I'm just saying, like, that one play that Josh Allen made, and Josh Allen deserves credit. I mean, it was 8 seconds he had back there. Ty Johnson, heck of a grab, controversial call. You'll give it to the receiver on that. But I just want to say that play, I think, specifically won the Bills the game because there's no way the Broncos are coming back double digits.
I disagree. That ain't the play that won the game. It was about 3 minutes before that, Richie, when the referee was on the sideline, something you never seen in your life, over there hugging Josh Allen. I'm sorry, man, for missing the holding call. I'm on the next drive. I'm gonna make.
Did you hear what Josh said that he said?
What did he say?
Josh Allen said that the ref came over to him and said, "Stop complaining about the calls."
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but he left something out. Stop complaining, Josh. I got you when it matters most. I'm going to make sure you get this MVP, okay?
Can I just say something that's going to piss people off? What would people be saying if that was Mahomes caught in the sideline with the refs doing that, man? Can I just say that, or am I going to get called names in the chat?
No,
if that was Mahomes on the sideline and you saw a ref come over there and bat him on the helmet, I mean, come on, bro.
That is
Let's be consistent here.
That is so valid, Richie. That is so
consistent
valid.
here,
if that was Patrick Mahomes, man, we'd be calling for a league investigation.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Let's be consistent here.
But
there's a new golden boy. I'm telling you right now, there's a new golden boy in the league.
But it's Josh Allen. Don't tell me the ref came and said stop complaining when he patting you on the, hey man, yeah, man, can I get a kiss? like that's basically what it looked like. Come on, man. Josh Allen knew what time it is. It's all right, ref. I know you got me. It's just the heat of the moment. Hey, I'm about to pull one out the bag. If it's close, you make sure you give it to me. Sure enough, like clockwork. Clockwork.
All right, let's get into another game because talk about quarterbacks. We can have the real conversation about Jordan Love. Man, I have Packers fans on my X feed just because we have Aaron Rodgers. And they're killing me, man. They want Rodgers back. Like they want Jordan Love gone. Like they're like, yo, Aaron, come back. Like it seems like from my perspective, I'm like Jordan Love's a stud, right? But then you see what he did. He looked trash in that game, right? I want to be consistent with these quarterback evaluations. We're criticizing Herbert, but the thing about Jordan Love is he balled last year in the playoffs. But then this year, he absolutely laid an egg, man. I mean, also, that game was just yuck. And we're not going to have enough time, unfortunately, to talk about the best game of the weekend, which was the Commanders and Bucks. We'll save that for tomorrow morning and today on the Huddle. But, TD, I mean, is Jordan Love, not as good as we thought? Like, what was your thoughts of that game?
I've been making excuses for quarterbacks. Jordan Love is the one that I can't look at the team around him and say, yeah, but this, yeah, but that, yeah, but the old line, yeah, but the run.
His receivers were going down like flies. That's the only thing I will say.
But still.
No, I know. I'm just saying, if there was something.
Every pick was just bad ball placement and everything. So here's what I'll say. He had a bad game. Don't look too much into it. He's not elite. He's a really good quarterback, though.
Now, look at it from this perspective. The contract that Green Bay gave him, is that something that they're going to regret?
No,
or
Richie,
you think he still deserved that type of money?
It's one season. You can't look at a guy and say, hey, man, you played great last year, but this year you didn't. We need to move on. Like, you got
obviously, they're not going to move on, but now I think everyone's eyebrows are raised a little bit more on Jordan Love, where no, Green Bay should definitely not move away from him, but we're not anointing him as this guy as a top guy in the league anymore.
Jordan Love has
also struggled in the regular season too. Let's not forget.
This is true, but remember he also dealt with an injury.
Yeah, that's also true.
So here's what I'll say: Jordan Love probably has to own his loss more than any quarterback, in my opinion, because there isn't context that can be used to it. Just a bad game. That's all. I'm gonna chuck it up to the fact that he just had a bad game, Richie. But if I am gonna give him, I don't want to use the word excuse, but a piece of I'm not gonna overreact. The Eagles got the best defense in the NFL. The Eagles are the best defense in the NFL, Richie. I mean, so let's call it what it is.
No, 100%. I think that Jordan Love needs to be held accountable. I think that he absolutely fumbled. at the end of the day, I also think that Philadelphia, it's weird. Jalen Hurts played trash. I mean, it was just two bad quarterbacks. But the Eagles are a team that can win in that way. They have such a great defense. They have one of the best, the second best running back in the league behind Derrick Henry and Saquon. I mean, how about Saquon just not taking that touchdown? Easily could have. So
he bought in. He won the big picture.
Man, I love Saquon. Saquon's become one of my favorite players. I mean, he's just an awesome dude. You hear everyone's like, "Oh, why'd you take the touchdown?" And everyone's like, "The conspiracy theories you seen, man? You seen the conspiracy theories? And it's rigged." They know how much people had money on Saquon getting the touchdown.
No, that's
the NFL sniped his ankle, made him fall so he couldn't get to the end zone. So it's so funny.
That's not the case. But here's what I'll also say, Richie. The reason why it's so disappointing for Jordan Love in this one, the Eagles only scored 22 points. The Packers defense did their job.
Yeah, they did, and that's why Jordan Love needs to be held accountable. And also, let's not forget, LaFleur is an offensive mind, man. Like, when you're the head coach and you're an offensive brain power and you put up 10 points in the playoffs, I know it's against, like, a good defense, but you got to step up, and they failed. So, Jordan Love got to be held accountable. I think you come away from this weekend, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love are the two quarterbacks that you're in question of, and Russell Wilson, but, like, that's different. He's kind of old. not like the face of the Steelers, like Herbert's the face of the Chargers. Love is the face of the Packers, right? I still think we all feel good about Bo Nix's future. And then, last night's game, we ran out of time, so we can't talk about that. We'll talk about it later on. So we'll get into it. But listen, folks, we're going to get into more about these games later today on The Huddle on BetUS TV with Dan Mitchell. So we're really excited about that. We really appreciate everybody that's been tuning in to Wake Up and Ball. We have over 180 people live right now. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button and subscribe here to Roundtable Sports. We're going to be live every single weekday at 8:30 a.m. All right? So really do appreciate you guys. We're building something special here on Roundtable Sports. This is Wake Up and Ball, powered by BetUS. Don't forget to use the code YouTube150 when you sign up. TD, any final words to the people?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Check us out on The Huddle today. We're going to get even more in-depth in some of these games with Dan Mitchell. But listen, man, come back tomorrow. Let's enjoy our mornings right here on Wake Up and Ball. We love you all.
Love you all. Shout out to the chat. We love you. Love the hate. Love the love. That's what it's about, baby. Roundtable Sports to the moon. It's because of us and you. Shout out to BetUS again. We'll see you later.
Peace.